Good morning and welcome. We'll begin in just a minute. We'll allow folks to trickle in and we'll start in just about a minute. Thank you. Good morning. Welcome to Purposeful Professional Development and Turnover. My name is Heidi Louise, and I am the moderator for today's session, along with your presenter, Steve Stuckey. We appreciate you joining us for the CypherWorx K-12 online training program, Purposeful Professional Development and Turnover. Our intent is to provide you with information you will find beneficial to your school or district. To allow you to make the most out of your session today, I'd like to give you a quick tour of the Zoom webinar control panel. The panel will look like the one on your screen. Your microphone will be muted, but we want you to feel free to raise your hand or ask questions in the chat during the presentation. I will constantly monitor both areas to alert Steve and make him aware of any questions that come in. Now, I'll hand it over to Steve.
Thank you so much, Heidi, and hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hopefully this is going to be a valuable session for you. And as you can see from the profile, started my career many years ago in the payroll HRS world. And that's where I first got my introduction into adult education. And it's really been a fantastic journey, in particular the last 10 years that I've been with CypherWorx. And more particularly in the last 5 or 6 years working with after school and early childcare programs throughout the country, seeing very successful programs and what they do and their process and new and fledgling programs as well. So we're excited to share with you our information today and talk a little bit about turnover, really understand the problem and the challenge that everyone faces, and more importantly, how we can address that. So we look forward to talking to you about that here today. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm just going to turn my camera off so that we can focus on these slides here. So I want to talk a little bit about turnover in the industry. Whether your center is for a for-profit, non-profit, large or small, any size, labor is really currently one of the greatest risks to childcare centers. It's also the largest expense, as you well know. And when compared to reputation, programming, and regulation, center owners and directors consistently rank staffing as their top concern. A study on childcare staff attrition at UC Berkeley found that more than 50% of center staff left within the first 4 years. That might not be surprising to some of you, but obviously it's a very large statistic. Again, 50% of center staff left within the first 4 years. As anybody with experience in the childcare industry can tell you, the problems only got worse over time. Early studies indicated in that just 1 decade, the turnover rate in childcare has doubled from 15 to 30%, according to Monthly Labor Review from February of 2011. The average annual turnover rate is 30% for all teaching staff, and that's from the National Association for the Education of Young Children from 2004. This rate is pretty much consistent with a recent report by the National Association of Childcare Resource and Referral Agencies, NACRA, showing a turnover rate of between 25 and 40%. This high rate is especially alarming considering its apparent impact on the quality of our programs and the well-being of young children. Among the research examining the quality of early childhood programs, the rate of job turnover for childcare staff seems to be a strong indicator of program quality. Again, that may be something that may be obvious to many of you, but I'll read that again. The rate of job turnover for childcare staff seems to be a strong indicator of program quality. Clearly, there's a connection. Rapes, for example, explained that frequent turnover among early childhood teachers prevented children from developing a secure attachment with teachers. In addition, teachers' high turnover negatively affected children's social, emotional, and language development. High turnover at childcare facilities can interfere with children's ability to form strong attachment bonds with their childcare staff, resulting in behavioral and developmental issues. By the way, not only the relationship between teachers and children, but the relationship between teachers and parents also suffered from high turnover. The impact of high staff turnover includes decreased productivity, increased recruitment costs, avoidable time spent on training new employees, reduced program quality, and families moving to other competitive programs. If turnover rates are high, the immediate consequences are severe: loss of valuable knowledge and experience, loss of morale for those left, and loss of belief in the team's competence and ability to perform. And none of those are quick and easy to replace. In any business, including school age and early childcare, among the main goals that you must have in mind is to maintain the employees that you have. Since high turnover can be expensive and strenuous to the management, other staff, children, parents, and caregivers. For businesses like childcare, it's especially important to maintain a high retention rate for employees because of the impacts of high turnover really can be devastating, as shown on the previous slide. If you take care of and support your current employees, they will stay devoted and have the knowledge and training to support the goals of your program. This, over time, allows you to greatly reduce your cost and increase loyalty to your program with both employees and the families that you serve. This chart from Cornell University shows how significant the impact is on your cost structure when employee turnover is high. So let's look at what some of the top causes of turnover. There are many causes of turnover in the industry, but the top 5 gathered from dozens of surveys and studies include: number 1, a lack of purpose. Ensuring your educators have a sense of purpose starts with getting a solid, agreeable, and achievable expectations. Does your team understand your goals and objectives? How frequently do you discuss them? Do they understand their own goals and objectives and what they can do to meet them? Educators need to be connected to the success of children and your programs. You need to ensure your staff members have a solid understanding of your vision for childcare and their place within it. Number 2, inadequate pay. Poor early childhood educator educator compensation goes hand in hand with these other common workplace complaints, like feeling overworked between classroom and administrative tasks, negative director presence, toxic colleagues, little or no recognition from colleagues or parents, poor work-life balance, boredom with classroom job duties, no opportunity for growth due to limited center roles. And if you can increase the compensation even slightly while keeping those above issues in check, that'll go a very long way. And of course, training is a huge help. The third one is lack of growth opportunities. In a childcare center, there's often limited educational administrative roles: assistant teacher, assistant director, and director. Creating pathways for your team to earn new credentials or complete pathways to these roles will give them a sense that they're valued and they have avenues for growth and advancement. I think we all need a compelling vision of the future to keep us motivated. Another is poor training. With current low unemployment rates, you're smart to be concerned and even smarter to take a proactive approach here. Training and development is a key component to your retention strategy. Too often employers are seeing training and development as a flexible benefit. During tough times, training and development is often cut back or even eliminated. And during busy times, organizations often find there isn't enough time for training. However, one of the top reasons that employees are leaving organizations is a lack of growth and development. So now's our chance to show our commitment to these employees through training and development, which will help reduce our controllable turnover. It's becoming increasingly difficult to find and keep skilled workers. Programs need to ask themselves, what are some of the things that I can do from a training and development perspective to reduce that potential turnover? Number 5 is poor management. When it comes to managers in childcare, most have moved up from the ranks of educators to become directors or owners of their own childcare centers. Whether a director is an internal or external hire, they often have limited, if no leadership skills. This does not set them up for success as they move into this role, as you can imagine, particularly without training. So as a director, always make sure that you provide proper training for your staff members as they grow in their roles, and also be sure to be mindful of your own professional development as well. A solid and consistent strategy for ongoing professional development means that you're planning for the future at the same time and not caught flat-footed with an unexpected turnover in a key position. Creating a culture of learning is a critical component of consistently performing programs. And that's one thing that I have seen consistently in my last 5 or 6 years working with after-school and early childcare programs, is those most successful, steady, low turnover type programs typically do have a very good purposeful professional development plan. So as you can see by this chart from the Work Institute, the causes for turnover in all industries nationally coincides with the causes in our industry, with career development and management behavior also being in the top 3. Compensation tends to be a little lower nationally than in our industry. So now this begs the question, how can your plan and how can CypherWorx help you utilize training and professional development to recruit employees who better fit your culture and retain a higher percentage? We can't help you pay them more, but we can help them in other areas. So one way is surveys, and I will say that there's a number of things that we've collected and learned over the years from these successful programs. And one of them happens to be the use of surveys, and we'll share with you these ideas here coming up. But you can start with surveying your team. You can survey your managers, supervisors, and employees as to where they see training needs, both by department and by individual. The survey tool allows you to survey your whole team or management or subsets of each to determine where there's a big need for professional development and training, or where you can improve processes. A survey is a flexible quantitative research tool that allows administrators to collect actionable data from staff. This means that you'll have a baseline measure of your current processes from which you can build. CypherWorx system allows you to create a survey that is simple as a standalone topic, or you may get creative and combine them with the learning path to create complex and engaging training scenarios. For example, you might create a learning path that has multiple steps that uses surveys with the training. So for example, step 1 might be a pre-training survey to gain insight into their initial thoughts on the topic that you're training on, or perhaps rate themselves in their understanding of key concepts. Step 2 would be have learners complete that training or series of training courses or live events that you assign, however you're delivering that training. And then the final step would be to deliver a post-training survey so that you can see how the training that you delivered influenced their thoughts. Once the learners completed all these steps, they get a certificate for having completed the process. And now you can then compare the results from pre and post-test surveys right from within the system and glean information on how to improve your next sessions or cohorts. I think the nice thing about this is, again, staff and employees really appreciate being a part of the process and being able to give that feedback and to build their training program. I think it's, no one likes to have to go through a training program if they feel like they already have the knowledge or don't need it. Using the survey tool is going to provide you with ideas and suggestions for training and development in your organization. Some of the possible opportunities that you may uncover could include things like general training across the organization, simple things, straightforward things, customer service, training on new technology, some of those baseline type training courses. You might find that you can identify external training or certification options. You might hear from the staff, they want to know about succession planning and emerging leader programs. Development of a robust performance management system. Your supervisors may be looking for training. It may be that folks are looking for a company-wide training event, maybe a team building type of event, a formal career development program, which is much more prescribed type of program so they can see their progress through the organization. One additional thing that you may find from those surveys is a desire to have a mentoring program. Both the mentor and mentee experienced a great amount of growth, and this is a great way to help kind of expand and share that knowledge that you already have in your program. Regular surveying of team needs will show your employees that you care about them and their growth. You're invested in them, and it's going to result in better professional development for your whole organization. What organizations find is that soon, once they have a purposeful professional development process in place, is that they are now talking about the training. They're talking about the certificates that they've earned, the latest techniques that they've used successfully in the classroom setting, and sharing ideas. So now you're establishing and enhancing your culture of learning and development that really is, again, part of the most successful teams that we've seen around the country, that frankly are beating the turnover statistics that we just shared. One of the tools available within the CypherWorx system is the assessment tool, and this has become very important for a number of organizations. And we recommend that you take the opportunity, if you'd like, to use the pre-hire assessment during the interview process. And what this does is helps you make the right hire in the first place. So with the assessment tool, you can set up a pre-hire assessment that's completely customized to the unique needs of your program or organization. And you tie it to existing program quality assessments, or you can tie it to existing program quality assessments such as WICER, the California After School Network, or to program quality assessments that are used in your state. The pre-hire assessment tool allows you to set up a series of competencies for employees in your organization. Prospective employees then can click a link, answer a series of questions in each competency area that's related to what you're looking for, and they'll rate their level of comfort with that question on a rubric. You can then see the results for each employee and decide if they match what you're looking for so that you can move on in your interview process. The great thing is if you do end up hiring that individual, they can be automatically assigned training courses to address their gap areas. So you already know where they need training support before their very first day. So it's really important, obviously, in that beginning process to make sure that you make the correct hire. And I've seen a lot of organizations that really make their purposeful professional development process very well known in their recruiting and their interviewing process as well. This is a part of our culture. This is what we do. Expect to be involved in training and development. We want to develop you as an employee. Another tool is is assessments in terms of self-assessments. So you can also utilize the assessment tool to create self-assessments for your existing employees to assess their own strengths. And again, the assessments are competency-based with a series of questions tied to individual training courses. So depending on their answers on the rubric-based answer, you can auto-assign coursework to improve those areas of development. So each employee then ends up with a personalized learning plan after completing an assessment. The system takes care of assigning the courses to directly address the individual's training needs, and you don't have to do a thing. Learning path. So what is a learning path? Well, a learning path is a selection of courses, discussions, resources, third-party training courses, and/or live trainings that are tied together for learners to progress through mastering a particular subject, credential, certificate, or program. So this allows you to enroll multiple users in multiple learning activities all at once, and this saves you valuable time. It's an incredibly simple but highly powerful method to ensure that all of the tasks within a path are completed. And a quick look at reporting will show you your staff's progress throughout the learning path. So why use the learning path? Well, what it does is it creates a structured path or journey to guide students along a prescribed path to keep things simple and consistent, both for administrators and for learners. Commonly, learning paths are used to add structure to training programs. When you're rolling out training to your learners, learning paths give you the ability to control both the order in which courses get assigned and the time frame in which the courses become available to the learners. The second thing is that it saves administrative time. So from your point of view as an administrator or a program director, it's normal for learning paths to be set up well in advance of learners being enrolled to condense administration time. So you have these established, they're ready to go, they're also consistent. So once you set a learner off on a path, they're largely self-sufficient. Your learner finishes one course and they're automatically added to the next. No work is needed from you. So they complete their course, they get their certificate, and then they're fed on to the next point in the learning process. And it's all automated. So the other item is that this drives learners to a goal. So from the learner's perspective, a learning path ensures that they are working towards an overall goal, and the learning path helps them guide them there. It keeps them on track and engaged with your prescribed course content. The learning path sequence allows learners to focus on the goal that they're currently working on without being overwhelmed. The next item is flexibility. Learning paths can also provide for a variety of learning tasks, from completing courses to adding third-party course completions to your LMS records. So you'll see that there's a number of different things or items. You can have them access documents as part of that learning path. It's very flexible. So as a result, a lot of organizations find that learning paths can be used for a number of different things, including number one, new employee orientation, which is critical. And I mentioned in my previous history with 20 years in the payroll HRIS industry, this is a very common thing in both nonprofit and for-profit organizations, is how you onboard your employees, and providing that new employee orientation is critical for providing the foundation for a long-term relationship with the employee. So again, you can create a learning path for new employee orientation. You might create a learning path for site director leadership, create a learning path for job success, create one for teacher training, create one for the child development associate credential, and more. So that's the neat thing about what we get to do, is we get to see all these different programs and the great ideas that they come up with for different learning path ideas. So let's take a look at an example of how a learning path can be used to help an employee complete a path that offers opportunities for growth and development. So one of the things that we'll do is we'll come back to the CDA learning path. The idea is that when they complete a series of activities, they will be fed the additional course immediately after that. And it's a very simple process for the learners. So if you understand how an ongoing purposeful professional development path can help reduce turnover and improve quality, you can see how the CypherWorx tools can make this process easy for you. And your CypherWorx team is here to help you every step of the way, no matter where you're starting. Credentials is another piece, which is common for organizations to have different training requirements to ensure that its learners are within compliance of those requirements, and often varies state to state. So it's important to understand credentials. So a credential is a training type that has two specific criteria that sets it apart. The learner, number one, the learner must complete its requirements in a specific mandated period of time. And number two, the credential will expire and must be renewed to maintain. So for instance, you may have a simple example would be a CPR certification. So an individual has to complete their training to become CPR certified. Once the certification is issued, it's oftentimes valid for 2 years. It's then up to the individual to complete the training again to maintain that certification. Within the CypherWorx system, the system will take care of reminding the learner to complete that training in a timely basis. So this obviously takes that worry off your shoulders so that you can ensure that you are always in compliance. Another example is for state certifications or credentials. So you'll find that CypherWorx provides credentialing to a number of state organizations and state certifications because the system is designed ideally to handle that. So for example, you may want to have learners complete a variety of learning tasks that make up a certain number of training areas. Once they complete a step, they move on to the next in the sequence. And once the sequence is successfully finished, a certificate is issued. And if there's a renewal, the system will then begin reminding the user of when and how to complete the next certification or credential renewal. And again, this is all automated once this is set up. So the system helps you create the credentials that are important to your employees for growth and increased pay, and important to track in for your organizational compliance. The reporting structure allows you to easily view detailed reports on all areas of training and professional development within your organization, from live training events to third-party external training to learning paths, assessments, surveys, and credentials. So you can see that detailed reports by individuals, courses, type of training, amount of time spent in training, and so on are all available. You can also set up custom reports for yourself that can be emailed to various leaders in the organization. You can even set up notifications that will show you who has not completed required training, and you can ping them right from that email. So you can see from the images here from this recording, this is showing different competency areas, for example, where an individual has answered questions in each of these areas. And you can see where they're considered competent or maybe areas where they need development. So this system and the reporting area really gives you a window into all of that useful and actionable information, all at your fingertips. And again, I'll mention that the learning management system and all of the courses within CypherWorx are designed to be taken on any device. So you can access this on cell phones, tablets, what have you. So bringing it all together, all of these strategies, if they support the insights that you gained in your conversations with the employees and managers, they'll help you to demonstrate your long-term commitment to the employees and their careers. So if you look at, the process that you go through and you're surveying, you're involving your staff within the program, again, this is giving you that foundation of creating that purposeful professional development program. And as you may know, CypherWorx keeps the cost of the system and the training low and give you complete flexibility of which content that you use and how you set up the tools that are best for your organization. This approach assures that you don't have to spend a lot of money to be highly effective professional development and training organization that values employees and offers them the tools that they need to grow within your organization and improve your efficacy to the families and the children that you serve. The key to reducing potential turnover is incorporating training and development into your retention strategy. Using two-way communication is essential to help identify needs, resources, and the best ways to implement a program. Again, it sends the message that the company is looking ahead and recognizes that its employees play a key role in its future success. Using those highlights to develop a great program that covers employees from pre-hire to leadership roles will help you stand out in the industry. Employee turnover inflicts severe harm to organizations, both financially and psychologically. In the United States, teacher retention has been lower since 1991. Researchers have suggested influencing motivational variables such as training, challenging and interesting work, introducing an excellent working culture, and offering good remunerations are all essential factors in retention. So we can help you with the tools to be successful here. So now let me talk about the most important aspects of the program to address these issues, the core content that you can utilize within the tools that we've already discussed. So this is just a glimpse in this slide here of all of the different courses that are available in several different areas of the program. So what I want to share with you here is this catalog of training courses. And again, all of these courses are available to you through the program. There's several hundreds of hours worth of training courses here. And you'll see everything from the very basics, from non-harassment, compliance, a whole series on social emotional learning, trauma-informed care, safety, health management, understanding how children, managing children in the workplace. They are consist of a 72-hour program of approved, state credit approved courses in every state specifically for after school, as well as the complete CDA, Child Development Associate certificate. But you'll see as you go through the catalog that there are courses on IT and working with various programs and so forth. How do we include children in our programs? All of the health and safety, OSHA training courses, etc. So there's really quite a wide variety of training in this catalog designed to cover every area of the program so that you can then take these courses and create your own learning paths. And again, we talked about assessment. So if you perform an assessment in your program, you'll be able to then automatically assign courses that will be able to help address whatever training modalities or training that you're looking to deliver. So one of the other things that we get a lot of great feedback on is that the courses are also accredited. CypherWorx is accredited as an IACIT provider. This means that we can provide continuing education credits for each of these courses that are made available to you. So this status means that CypherWorx adheres to the IACIT's internationally recognized ANSI IACIT standard for continuing education and training. IACIT is the organization that actually created the notion of continuing education credits originally. And so only IACIT accredited providers who have approval from the IACIT Commission have the ability to award IACIT CEUs. So what you'll find is that these credits are accepted by colleges, universities, organizations, etc. So we're very proud to be able to offer that through the CypherWorx system. So one of the things too that's important to note is obviously we want to make sure that we're delivering quality content that is shown as efficacy. So when we create courses, for example, typically we will go through an efficacy study and we have done that in the past. And if you're interested in any of that information and data, by all means, please put your information in the chat box and we'll collect that and send that off to you. But the courses include scenario-based learning and interactive elements that encourage active learning. The learning management system and all the courses, again, are designed to be accessible on any device. So if you have staff within, during the business day, during the work day, they can actually pull up their cell phones if they have a break and take care of some professional development. They can also go back into a course and access something that they maybe have seen in the past. Maybe they're working with a child with ADHD. And they're looking for information on how best to serve the needs of that child. Obviously, there's courses on that. The newest catalog of 11 new social emotional learning courses are extremely popular, especially now today as we enter the after COVID. So I'm going to click on the one of these courses here to share with you kind of how this works. And again, you can access these courses on any device. This one happens to be an example of an early childcare course in the CDA series. So as you can imagine, once the individual gains access to the course, all they have to do is click that start button. And the instructional design team has put a lot of thought into the fact that we all are different types of learners. Some visual, some auditory, some kinesthetic. We did a few days ago, we did a presentation on working specifically with adult learners and how they learn. And so there's a lot of information on that we have based our courses and how we create our courses to really capture the attention and engage adult learners. Now, in this case, the beginning, since this is part of the Child Development Associate Certificate, this is going to walk each individual through what needs to be done to actually obtain the certificate. So there's a textbook to purchase and so forth, but this very clearly shows them what qualifications that they need to have, the steps that they need to take, etc. And then they'll find information on these subject matter experts, how we created these courses, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and click continue here just to take us in. What you'll see is that the team has built in a number of different interactive types of opportunities here. So there might be videos, there might be live links, there might be tabs that they need to click on, might be flip cards, learning games, learning checks throughout the courses, and then also reflection points. So now you may have noticed on the left-hand side as I'm moving forward within the course, I can see exactly where I'm at in my process through this menu. And you'll see the topics that I'm going to be covering here. Constructing and gathering knowledge, an example, organizing and understanding information, understanding an example, applying the knowledge. So we take folks right through this learning process. And at the end of every course is a quiz. Once they successfully pass that quiz, then they will get emailed their certificate and they'll always have access to that certificate. But you'll also see down here is that as they go through the course, they'll also be able to access in certain courses, downloadable resources that they can use right within the course. Now you'll see that I'm clicking continue just to give you an idea of how the course looks overall. But in the live course, what you'll find is that there's forced navigation. That means that I have to watch the video. I have to complete the activity, whatever that might be, before I can typically move on. So again, there's going to be learning checks throughout the course so that folks are engaged. These are not courses where you can turn it on and say, go do the laundry and come back, take the quiz and hope you pass. You have to be engaged in that whole process. So these items are all developed on purpose, and you'll find that in that catalog of many hundreds of courses that we talked about, those are all available to your staff. So as we talked about, our courses are going to include multiple exams, knowledge checks, and other assessments to assess the learner's competency in the course content that they just completed. Exams are created and maintained by our subject matter experts and instructional design team to test the learner competency on the course objectives. Many of the courses include tables that match each test question to the content it covers to give the learners the opportunity to review any content that they haven't mastered. Most of the courses include learner reflection boxes for learners to record and review their reflections. So again, we've talked about obviously the incredible impact that turnover has. But the good news is understanding that based upon the work that we've done over the last many years with after school and early childhood programs across the country, really recognizing what's happening in some of those programs that are really kind of beating the market, if you will, in terms of reducing the turnover. A big piece of that is their culture of learning. We talked about being able to do pre-hire assessments to make sure that we hire right the first time. We also talked about being able to create learning paths and a purposeful professional development path, and also using the assessments tool to really understand where people are at, and then ultimately being able to give them a personalized learning plan. I know that as an employee, I would like nothing better than for somebody to come and get into my brain and know, what am I good at? Where do I need help? And so now we've got this resource to be able to do just that. And so a lot of these programs, again, that I've talked about that have done a great job of reducing their turnover seem to have this in common, which is they have a very good culture of training that they've established from the very beginning, even before an individual gets hired. So I want to share with you just this slide here because I think it's important to know we've talked about a lot of different things here, and it might be a little bit overwhelming depending on where your program is in the life cycle. But the nice thing is it's very flexible, and we get a lot of great feedback that the team is always there to help. So you'll see that the learning content management system here provides a lot of different features that can help support your professional development program and your unique situation. So in addition to some of the features that we talked about today, you'll also have access to a tool like Create a Course, for example. And this allows you to create your own custom online courses from PowerPoints or videos or what have you. So that's extremely popular. You also have the ability to add and share resources and create a resource library right from within the learning management system, as well as things like discussion boards when you have people that can, on your staff, that can now share ideas. You can also have teams or classrooms. So this is essentially a subset of folks. Maybe you just want to train your management staff and have them share documents and so forth that's not available to everyone else in the organization. But you can have different learning cohorts. You can also assign courses individually. And so this is a really neat tool that a lot of programs will use. If you have, let's say, a manager of a location or a program, you'll have the ability for them, maybe if they're having an annual review or a semi-annual review, and they find that, hey, there's an area where this individual is doing a great job in these areas, but perhaps they need a little bit of help. Maybe it's as simple as they just need to, they benefit from taking an Excel course to sharpen their skills there. And so they can actually assign those courses right on the spot, even from their cell phone. And the other thing that's helpful to note is we make the transcripts and all of the training information available to the individuals as well. So again, when adult learners get a chance to be able to see and participate in their training, they'll be able to see their progress. A lot of these programs get really excited about getting those certificates of completing their courses. And oftentimes they'll post them up on their bulletin boards and so forth to really communicate to parents and caregivers, grandparents, what have you, all of the training and development, how seriously they take their careers in working hard to provide the best experience for their children. So it's great you have all of these resources, but I think the important thing is that we hear is that you've got access to the entire CypherWorx team to help you along the way. so you're not alone. So they're designed, our team is designed to help fulfill your vision for creating that purposeful professional development process. So hopefully this has given you some good ideas on where you can go to help address that challenge of turnover. We talked about how challenging and costly that can be. And again, you've got all these tools that are available to you. So I want to say thank you for taking the time to learn more about purposeful professional development and turnover reduction. Hopefully this was useful information to you, and we encourage you to reach out to us or respond to us directly with our follow-up communication. We'd love to connect with you and your any other stakeholders for a private conversation about after school and early childhood education program and how it can best fit your goals. We're here to help you in every step of the way. So again, thank you, and encourage you to please return to the CypherWorx.com/K12 website to participate in future sessions, or you can also view previously recorded sessions. All right, thank you so much, and I wish you a wonderful day.